Welcome to the 3BL podcast. I'm RJ with our co-host here, Ryan Boyd. So what are we talking about today?
I just obviously with this new formation of the 3BL League, I feel like just to get into the podcast, we should lay down the rule book so let the fans know the rules of our 3v3 basketball league. And I also could start with the way the foul systems would work. Actually, 3v3, everyone plays. There's no bench. There's going to have once you get 5 fouls, you're going to almost like a hockey, like a penalty box. It's going to be like a 2 minute penalty. If you get six with 3 minutes, up a minute after you go over five.
What about the foul shots?
Yeah, so when after it's just regular basketball, shooting foul and ones, reaching fouls, you're gonna pass it in. There's no bonus, however, in the 3BL, so that's kind of something different in the traditional game and our game. Obviously, we play at 8.5 foot rims, so you're gonna see more spectacular dunks and blocks. Um, Obviously, it's a drive list, kind of like half court simulated there. So anything you want to add on the rule book there, RJ?
Um, I was thinking about the hoop. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why are we playing on a 8.5 foot hoop?
Well, I mean,
Is it for the dunks? Is it for the people who maybe can't shoot very well,
you
or
know, that's a
mixture
fair
of
point.
both?
And when us commissioners, actually me, you, and our commissioner was on the podcast, Aldi Cross, we got together, and even the whole league in general, just like think about like what do we want to do. There's downsides. Maybe people want depth. They're shooting well, smaller, and that throws off how you shoot. But there's going to be more blocks, and it's going to make some people that maybe necessarily not the best basketball players, but they have tall, big bodies, are going to perform better because they'll be able to be enforcers down low and be able to dunk and get a lot of blocks, and it's going to help. But it's also going to show some of our tiny, more shiftier guards if they don't adapt to shooting well, it might cost some teams in the long run.
And how are we thinking about with the people who maybe play basketball a lot? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're on the team. We're like really good scoring players, like you, Brady, Augie, Drew.
Yep, Gaku too.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah. How are we going to expect you guys to adjust to this new rim?
And that's a good point. And I think, playing, starting in like mid March, end of March, mid April, where it gets a little warmer. I think that'll give these teams and players, especially, time to adapt. Obviously, I don't think we mentioned Nick Scalzo here is a pretty good shooter. He's gonna have time to adapt. Drew, Jake. Jake doesn't play in the team, but he's a pretty good basketball player. These guys are gonna have time to adapt. Um, and it could affect them, but I feel like after a game or two, they should get used to it and get more used to driving to the hoop for more dunks.
Yeah. Thank you. So what about this Dayton Andrew trade? I've been hearing about it.
So yeah, so actually, if you want to elaborate on that yourself, don't know much more about it. Um, I heard it's like potential, but you want to add on that?
So from what I've heard, Dayton isn't happy with his current home.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew doesn't particularly care for his current team. I think this trade could be revolutionary for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Eli, Eli, he had the first pick in the draft. He took Augie, and then with his last pick, he took Dayton. Or oh wait, no.
Yeah, I think he had the
Yeah,
Penguins
cut
first.
that. Andrew had Andrew was picked last. Dayton was picked pretty early on in the second round. Uh, Dayton Andrew, I'd say they're pretty similar players. Dayton taller,
Mm-hmm.
maybe doesn't have the same ethic as Andrew does.
I also
Uh,
think a big difference is Dayton's not to cut you off or anything, but Dayton's size inside, but Andrew just have the quickness that you're gonna need to guard some of these teams. Like look at the Wolves. You have Nick Scalzo and Jake Kakamugio, and the Dark Knights have Gaku Nishi, and those are gonna be tough guys to stop. But the quickness of Andrew Uncle can really help you.
yeah. So I haven't really seen Andrew play very much,
Mm-hmm.
but I've not heard very good things about his shooting. Um, I've watched Dayton play a little bit. He doesn't shoot the greatest either. Um, they both are tall guys who are decently quick at least. uh, the thing is, uh, Eli's team with him, Augie Kraus, and Dayton, they need some more speed,
Yep.
especially playing against the faster teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they also need more height because Augie isn't the tallest. Eli,
It's kind of a tweener.
obvious,
Yeah.
yeah.
Eli
Uh,
Brooks, not bad height, but they could use better.
he's yeah. Um, they got Dayton right now, who has blocked several shots recently, especially against like more shooting prone players like myself and Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's been doing well. I haven't really seen Andrew play very much, but I've heard that he's improved a lot and is working towards being a top player.
Yep. Now, I think in the long run, in my opinion, in this trade, I think the Penguins are going to benefit more from this trade. I see that Captain Jackson also Drew Barnaby with the first overall pick. So there you have Jackson, a spectacular preseason first team All Players Bowl defensive player. And Drew Barnaby, one of the best scorers in the league, has a real shot at winning MVP Offensive Player of the Year. I think Dayton Chamber could just be the missing piece that they need. A guy that's just going to distribute the ball and just get rebounds and maybe have a little bit of rim presence and get some block shots on with Jackson Wells. And I think not to take away from Andrew Runkle and the Mustangs, I think he could be a good fit there too. I just think in the long run the Penguins will benefit more from this trade.
Yeah. And especially against our faster teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think Andrew and Dayton both will do pretty well. As you said, Dayton will have much more of a rim presence, like standing under the rim,
Mm-hmm.
in the paint, in
Yep.
your face, jumping up, blocking shots whenever he can. Andrew, I think he has a higher jump if I'm correct with that.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But he's uh he's going to work more to prepare.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. Now, not to take away from Dayton's work ethic, but Andrew just says he's going to show up, he's going to grind every day. And you know that when Andrew shows up, he's going to work. He's even give you 100%. Rather, it's 100% in 2 points, 100% in 10 points. He's going to give you his all every game.
Yeah. So Andrew was ranked last in the pre-draft,
Mm-hmm.
and he was picked last in the draft. I think he was uh, very undervalued. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that. And I think, it's a fair statement to put him there because looking at the second round, I mean, there's a long list of guys. I mean, I actually had Brady, Idy, Dayton, and Eric taken, upper second round along with Jake Kakamujio. So then after that, I mean, I think you have Landon Y, Andrew Runkle, Dayton. I mean, all those guys are good at their own in their own way. Especially Eric. I mean, I think Eric's gonna be a very undervalued shooter, and I think he's gonna surprise people a little bit. And I thought Brady fell a lot lower than I expected, at least. I don't know about you, but I thought he slid a little bit. I thought he was going to be honestly taken more like the Dark Knights to the second pick in the second round. But he fell to the Dolphins, who had, I think, the second to last pick, third to last pick in the draft, which is a shock to me. But I think this league. It's from top to bottom, the talent is so good that there's a lot of even in efficiency in between the whole league and player rankings.
Yeah. And then what about this Landon getting picked? What was it, second or third in the second round?
Yeah, it's pretty early.
Yeah. In the draft grades, he was rated a was it C plus?
I believe so. Um,
Yeah.
and obviously, me and our other commissioner, Augie Kraus, we do those. And, when putting in thought to these draft grades, we're thinking of the value of the player, not the skill, the value, and where they were taken. And I think obviously you saw players like Augie get an A minus. It's a very good pick. It was a very good pick. I mean, A minus nothing to take away from it. It's a very good pick. But I thought maybe it was a bit of a reach. But I no do not think that was the Mustangs' fault. I think the way the draft happened ahead of them, he was right there for them. They had to take him. But so with saying of Landon By, I mean, he's a very good player. He's an athletic big. His shooting's not the best, but he's physical. And I think taking second in the second round, where let's see, where he's taking third, fourth, or fifth in the second round. You know, he's a B plus, A minus draft grade.
I think he'll do really well, especially on the Dark Knights with
Hmm.
Everett Fields and Gaku Onishi.
Yeah,
Everett, I feel like Everett and Landon will play very similarly, except Landon is much more of a shooter.
yeah. I don't want to say he's a shooter, but much more comfortable shooting than Everett Fields is.
Yeah.
Uh, Deeper range.
Gaku, very, very fast player,
Hmm.
will have some amazing drives. He's shooter of the year watch list.
Yeah.
He has 3-point presence. He's good at mid range. He's good all around the court. Now, Landon, I've seen some of his threes. They're pretty good. He just can't shoot from the corner.
Uh-huh, I agree with that. And you know, it's a shot you can develop it. Or if you really just want to focus on your get just better shooting overall, you know, maybe you stay away from the corner and let Gaku Nishi is a very good corner shooter. Will fill in that role with the Dark Knights.
I have not really seen Everett play very much either. Sorry to say it, but I think he will do. He's pretty tall. He he's able to jump decently enough. I think he'll be able to dunk. Hopefully by the time it starts,
Oh yeah,
which will
yeah.
be amazing for this team. Have Everett standing in the paint, Landon somewhere in the mid range, and then Gaku uh, at long range.
Mhm.
Uh, Gaku obviously getting the long range shots. Landon much more comfortable in the mid range.
Yeah. Um, and I agree with that. And I've seen Everett play just a little bit, not much, but a little bit. And I think he fills this role that the Dark Knights seen very well. He's gonna be able to just kind of like sit on the block and just almost not even like put back just like with the short 8.5 foot rim. I think he can dunk. Just put back dunks, and then that's gonna help, especially once we get into the playoffs. And those just the little things, the little rebounds and the little putbacks are gonna what's gonna separate the average to mid tier teams and the good teams. And Dark Knights have the potential to be a top team in this league.
Absolutely. Um, so for the power rankings, what are we thinking?
So I think the top three really can go either way. I mean, I think you have the Wolves are a pretty clear front runner with yourself, RJ Stack at captain, you know, Nick Scalzo, a good shooter, a little quick and handsy on defense, getting his hands on a lot of passes, along with Jake Kakamujio, who's similar play style as Nick, with a little more size and more willing to drive to the hoop. I think they are, as of right now, the front runner of this league. And I think, you know, at second place, I mean, I think I'm looking at the Dolphins and the Green Goblins here. I mean, the Dolphins, they don't have the three best players, but it looks like they have the three right players for their team with Connor Bolin at captain. He can hit mid-range shots and can get to the bucket. And yet Tyson Haydock is going to really distribute this ball and be a post presence. And, you know, he's going to get 10, 12 assists a game. And then you have Brady Ide, he's going to knock down shots from everywhere on the court. And I think they are a team that can finish high. And I think the Green Goblins, too, with Colin Castro at captain, who is going to be a slept-on mid-range shooter. Myself, who I think I can be a pretty good post presence for dunk if you want to add on that. And then Eric Wainscott, who I think will be a very slept-on shooter.
Yeah, to add on that, I think uh you maybe in the post or in the corner. I think you'll do very well there with dunking and long to mid range shots from the corner, which from what I've seen you're pretty decent with. Um, Now I would put Dark Knights at 3 or 4
Okay.
with Everett, Gaku, and Landon. We've already talked about them. They got all around players. Uh, Gaku very fast. Landon good shooter, and will have maybe a decent post presence. And then again, haven't really seen Everett play.
Mm-hmm.
I think Everett fouling will be the downfall of their team.
I agree with that. And I think that's what a team like the Wolves are going to have to watch out with Jake, who on a good day, Jake can get you 20 to 30 points, play great defense, but there's times he might get 10 to 15 points and have a lot of fouls. And, I think that's what you're going to get out of him. And that's the high risk, high reward situation with Mr. Kakamujio there. But the team I'm really slumped on here on where they fit in the ranks, and I'll get your take on this, is the Mustangs. I mean, they have the potential to be a top two, top three team. But I can see them sliding down in the rankings and being a bottom tier team in the league. What is your take on that?
Yeah, especially with Eli and
Mm-hmm.
his playing recently, he has not been doing very well. He has not been shooting well. He's he hasn't been passing well. He's really just been standing there. He's just been
Just
on
really
the
hasn't been
court.
playing well, like at all lately.
Yeah. Now, that does mean that Dayton has been showing up, uh, making him much more helpful for Augie. Like he gets the rebounds, passes it over to Augie. Augie shoots,
Yep.
and it usually goes in.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it is in Eli's best interest to trade Dayton, though.
Yes, I agree. Because with the situation between Dayton, uh, Dayton Sandberry and the captain Elijah Brooks, it's all friendship there, but they just are kind of butting heads and just they want to go their own separate ways. I think it's better for the franchise, just from the locker room standpoint, and just for the overall team morale, to get a new face in there, fresh start. But that's going to come for the captain Eli Brooks as the final call in this trade, and that's going to be a decision he wants to make. I want to maybe go for a little lesser player, but have a better team morale, or does he want to try to weather the storm and go through the season with Dayton Sandberg?
Yeah, I think unless he wants to trade Augie, the
Mm-hmm.
only players he can really get are Andrew, uh, and maybe Brady. Although I don't think Brady is up for sale because
No,
the Dolphins really need that shooting presence.
yeah, I think I agree with that. I think that the only unless he's willing to give up more, he's gonna probably Andrew Uncle might be your only option there. And I think he threw Augie's name in there. I mean, I think if he's looking to trade Augie, I mean, the guy he's going to get in return is going to be either probably Nick Scalzo or Gaku or possibly myself. But you know, um, I don't think he's willing to do that. And I don't think these other teams, the Wolves, the Dark Knights, and the Green Goblins, are willing to sell their teams. But you never know. With obviously we saw the Luka Doncic trade happen in the NBA, where you just never know, and anything can happen. So nobody's safe in this league. So
Yeah, I think Gaku uh for Augie would work well. It would be tanking their team a little bit for
mhm,
the extra speed, with less, with maybe a little bit less shooting ability. Uh, but they'll get more height. And Gaku, he can jump
yeah,
a million
I,
miles in the air.
oh yeah. So I think we covered pretty much every team there in the preseason predictions. Now I want to talk about the rivalry week that we have in the 3BO. I think we're gonna start with the most hatred, the hated rivalry, so the most hatred for each other. The fans hate each other. That's the Green Goblins versus the Wolves. It's playing week one and opening day and opening game of this inaugural 3BL season.
Yeah. And I am almost certain that we have opposing views on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because me
You
and
being on
you
the Wolves,
obviously
yep.
we play on separate teams.
On
Uh,
those two teams,
on
with the
those
Goblins, you're
two
on the Wolves.
teams.
So
Now these are probably uh two of the top teams in the league at the current moment. Ryan and Eric, uh, you and Eric, obviously,
yep.
very fast. For Eric, you good post presence. Will definitely be able to dunk. Uh, I, I I have not seen Eric dunk on 8.5.
I might be
Um,
cutting. I might be close. I'm not sure about that, but
yeah. Colin, as you said, undervalued shooter. I'm just mainly worried about the speed there.
and I was also just looking at like the way things would match up. I'd assume it's probably going to be. either me and Jake or me and yourself. And then Eric being on Nick probably. Then that's with Colin probably on yourself, and on you. And I think that game is going to be high scoring. And I think, you know, you are going to have a mismatch, and you're going to be able to hopefully, uh, dominate the inside. No, I think there's ways you can stop that. Like when Colin goes to guard you, and the ball goes someone you can double team. Um, but then you're gonna have to rely on your shooters, and I think this will be a high scoring affair. And I think that teams like your team, the Wolves and the Green Goblins, are gonna need guys like Eric Wainscott, Colin Casper, and you and Nick to really up their game to try to come away with this Week 1 W.
Yeah, we will definitely need to be on our A game. Jake really, even with this amazing, very violent rivalry, will really just need to not foul.
Mm-hmm.
As you
Keep us
said,
cool.
6 fouls is a was it what is it minute in the penalty
Five
box?
fouls. 5 fouls is a minute, or 5 fouls is 2 minutes, and then six is three, so on and so forth.
Mm. Uh, so yeah, he'll need to keep that at the max 4. He just can't grab arms, hit
Yeah.
hands.
You can't fall
Uh,
into a 2v3 in a
yeah.
high stakes game like that.
Now, when is this game? Like in March,
Um,
maybe?
so based on actually us three talking, we're looking to maybe do the week of spring break, which would be the last week in March, hoping it's warm enough. If not, mid-April, whenever it starts to get warm, we're gonna try to have our first game. Um, so yeah, it's to be determined, but probably like mid to end of March to mid-April, with a time period for the first week 1 slate of games here. Do you have anything to add on any other rivalries in the league that you have the form?
Yeah. This is the one like big rivalry. Mustangs Dolphins week 1
Yeah,
should also be pretty good. Obviously, Connor and Eli, very good friends.
yeah,
The two captains of those teams. Tyson playing up a year. He's in the 7th grade.
and I think he's capable of it.
Yeah, very tall. Very good with the ball. Passes well. Um, and then Brady at the 3-point line shooting will be very good. The thing with Eli, he just really needs to show up. He needs to play well. He needs to hit his shots. He needs to pass well. They give Augie the ball, and they should be much better.
And I think another thing to add is with Tyson Haydock playing up a year, but he needs to keep his composure. As we've seen through our school season, there's been times when he's lost his cool and he's gotten teed up, and he just needs to keep his composure in big games like this, similar to Jake Kakamuchio. But I also think this is the game where these teams, so we're going to kind of figure out a lot about both teams. Of the Dolphins, who have the right players, who have the best players with the right players for their team. How do they show up and play and score? Same with the Mustangs. How does their team revolve around Augie Cross at the point guard position?
Yeah. And obviously they might trade Dayton for Andrew,
Yeah,
which if they get Andrew, they'll have that extra speed, which is currently lacking in Eli, who has pretty much just been absentee on the court.
yeah.
Um, with Andrew, they'll have that extra speed and he jumps pretty high
Yeah,
uh, at this, or at least last I've seen of him. Uh, so they'll have at least one player who can dunk. Uh,
and I think Augie might be able to get up there and just rise for a few rim grazers too. Also, but
yeah,
that's what we're gonna see how teams prove themselves. Who can do what. So
I think
yeah,
this first week will be just these teams showing out, showing what they can do. Um, because they can't really show preseason
no, that's yeah.
to the fans in particular uh, how well they can play.
Mhm. Yeah, and also we're running out of time, and we think we've covered everything here. So, that's week one of the 3BL podcast. Tune in next episode. And yeah, it's you two co-hosts are here, Ryan Boyd and RJ Stack, signing off. Have a good night.